Hello, in this video we are going to see how to create a carousel section in a Liquid theme for Shopify. This will also serve as an example on how to work with third-party libraries in a Shopify theme. So let's get started. First, let's quickly cover what a carousel is, just so we are all on the same page. As you can see in this list of demos, for this carousel library, a carousel normally has a list of items, which are paginated, and where you are able to go to the next or previous page by either using these arrow buttons over here, dragging, especially on mobile, or by using these pagination buttons if they are present. Each page can have one or more items, and those items can contain anything. So for an e-commerce site, such as what we are normally building when we are using Liquid and Shopify, one of the most common examples is that each carousel item is a product card that has some details about a product, and if the customer clicks on any of them, they are navigated to that product's details page. Now, after mentioning that, how do we add one to a Shopify theme? The first step is to select a carousel library if your project doesn't already have one. You have the option of implementing a carousel from scratch, of course, but depending on the complexity of what you're trying to build, that might be very time-consuming. Hence why, in this example, we are leveraging a carousel library. Now, which library to choose? That will depend on what you need. Each library has different options available and comes with their own trade-offs. The one I will be using in this video is Glider.js, which is a lightweight carousel library, meaning that the JavaScript file we will load for it to work is pretty small. However, the downside of this library is that some features like looping in a carousel are not available. So if you need that feature, then you will have to use a different library. But the idea of how we will connect this to Shopify will be the same. And now let's focus on the code. For this, I have a Shopify theme running locally, and I have created this carousel section. The section right now doesn't have any settings and just shows the word carousel in an H2. So over here, I have added this to the homepage, and we can see it here. Now let's add the actual carousel. And for this, the first step is to see how we can include it. We have two options here, download now or view in GitHub. For this particular library, clicking on download now will download the full source code of this library. So we will click on view GitHub. And over here, we have more options on how to include this. So we can either use a CDN, like the one shown in this example, or we can include the file locally. Both options should produce roughly the same result. However, including the file locally has a few advantages. First of all, you have more control over exactly what is being served because it is a file in your theme's code. If you include it from a third-party CDN, it could get compromised for one reason or the other, or could simply be down, impacting your customer's experience in the process. Also, it can load slightly faster, as it's one less third-party CDN domain your store has to connect to. So here what we are going to do is open glider.min.js and copy the contents of this file over here. Then in the assets folder, create glider.min.js and paste this over here. We should make sure to leave this comment over here. Most libraries have a comment like this at the top telling you which version they are on. This will be useful for other developers working on this project, so they know right away which version of this library is being used here. And we will then do the same with the CSS file as well. So let's look for glider.min.css and copy all of this and create the same file here. So glider.min.css, and we paste this and save. Now let's include them over here. So for the CSS, I will do glider.min.css, asset URL, and then a style sheet tag. And for the JavaScript, I will do glider.min.js, close this, asset URL, and let's make this async. And now let's see what we have. So nothing has changed here yet, but now what we can do is go to this GitHub page again and copy this example code. Let's paste it over here, and let's copy this initialization code and paste it inside a script tag over here. So let's do window.add listener dom content loaded, and then over here we can paste this, and let's see what we have. So if I refresh this page, we now here have a carousel, although it doesn't have buttons yet, but we can see how we only see the one here because the other items are in the next slide. Let's see how we can start adding buttons and other options. So to add the buttons or anything else that is supported, you just pass it as an option over here. So let's do just that. Let's open this object here. And for the arrow buttons in particular, we need this. So I would paste this over here. And we have to specify here a CSS selector. So I will say that the selector here is section.id ref. And then for next, it will be probably the same. So section.id, but in this case, .next. And let's wrap this in the div. Let's use the page width class, which is a container in this theme. And we will have a button here. It will have the class ref, and it will just say ref. And we will have another button with the class next, and it will say next. So let's save this, go here, and if we refresh this now, let's see what we have. We have the buttons, but they don't do anything yet because we also have to give this an ID, section.id. That is so it knows that these buttons are specific to this section in case we have multiple carousels in the same page. Let's refresh again. And now we can see the buttons are working and we are moving between the slides. So let's continue customizing this to show a product carousel. So let's add a couple of settings here. Let's start with one of type number. The ID here will be slides desktop. Say number slides desktop. And that over here will be number of slides. And let's put desktop here. Because on mobile, we will only have one always. And then over here, let's also add a block. So let's say that the type here will be product. The ID will be, no, the name will be product. And then the settings here, we'll have one setting of type product as well. And I want will be product. And ID will be product. And we can also have a setting of type text. Let's say title. And the label will be title. And we can add an info message here saying optional. We'll use the product title if left blank. If left blank. So let's save this. And now let's make these slides, instead of in these numbers, be for in block in the section of the blocks. Let's check for if block the type is equal to product. Then for now, let's just add here the block, the settings, the product, the title. Let's save this and let's see what we have. So initially we don't have anything, but then let's add 4 products here. Let's select this one. And let's select this one. Let's select this one. And then let's select this one over here. Let's click on save. And you can see that the carousel is working and showing the product titles that I added a moment ago. You might have also noticed that while I was adding products from here, the carousel was broken. So for example here, it broke again because I added a new block. Let's select another product here, such as, let's say this one. But the way to fix this is to just save your changes, and after you save, it should reinitialize everything again and the carousel should be working. This is due to the way this theme editor updates and reloads content, so your customers won't see the carousel in that broken state we just saw, as this is only happening over here. Now let's implement the feature of controlling how many slides to show. For this, let's go back to the documentation over here. And we have this option of slides to show, which is exactly what we need. So let's copy this and paste it over here. In this case, we don't want this to be auto. We want this to be controlled by this setting we have over here. And actually, let's give this a default value of 1. And then let's copy this ID and do section, settings, and paste this over here. And let's see what we have now. So let's refresh this page. We have this set as 1 by default, but let's change this to be 3. Let's save. And now we have 3 items per page. If I scroll to the next one, we only scroll 2 more items because this has only 5 items in total. Now let's quickly implement these product cards. So for this, I'll create a div here. Let's give it a class card. And here, let's do block the settings, the product dot featured image. Let's do image URL, and let's use a width of 1000, and then image tag. And over here, of that, let's add in the product's title. But actually, let's do block.settings.title. And if that is not defined, we will use the product title as we are specifying over here in this comment. And we could actually wrap this in an anchor tag. So let's do block.settings.product.url. And let's change this to be an anchor tag as well. And let's refresh here and see what we have. So we have these 3 products. These are links. As you can see, their text is now blue. But the image isn't looking as good. We can fix that with CSS. So let's do that over here. We can move this later to a separate file. But for now, let's do card. And for this, we don't have to do much. Let's just give this a border of 1 pixel, solid, and let's use this color over here. Then for the image, let's give it a class of card image. Let's do card image, and this will have a width of 100%, a height of auto, and an aspect ratio of 1. Then we are going to do object fit contain, so we don't lose any product information. And let's see what we end up having. So this is looking a bit better now, though that border is something that in this case doesn't look that good. But we can fix this by here, clicking on Premium, looking for the carousel, and then over here, we will grab this class from here. You can see that it has a display flex already included because of these styles we are including here in glide.min.css. But what we are going to change now is the gap. So let's give this a gap of 16 pixels. Let's save. And let's see here what we have after we refresh. We now see that we have a gap and it is looking better. Let's close this. And we can also give this card maybe some border radius. So let's do that. Border radius of 20 pixels. Let's see how that looks. We refresh again. And we have this issue. We can fix this by using overflow hidden. The issue is that the image is overflowing this container. So that is why it is looking like that. But this radius is a bit too large. Let's reduce it to 16. And let's also give the card a padding of 16 pixels as well. Let's refresh. And this looks better. We can then give this a class of card title. And let's do this. So X align in this case will be center, and the font size, let's increase it to 20 pixels. Let's refresh. And it's looking a bit better. You just have to change the color to be 303 and maybe reduce this to 16 pixels. And this is looking good. Now, while the cards look good, these buttons still look out of place, so let's now fix that. For this, let's give this a class of glider container and copy this over here. I'll paste it actually here on the bottom. And let's give this a position relative. And then what we'll do, glider container, a ref, and glider container dot next. And let's give both of these a position absolute, top 0. And then let's give this a transform, translate y minus 50%. And then to the previous button, let's give this a left of 0. And to the next button, and let's give this one a right of 0. And let's see what we get now. Let's refresh. And this one has to be top 50%. And now they are here centered. We can then style this. So let's do background transparent, border none. And then actually let's use a border of 1 pixel, solid black. And let's give this a background of white. And let's see what we get. And let's use a border radius of 20 pixels. And we can then change this. So let's add area label, previous slide. And instead here, let's use an icon. So we have icon arrow.svg. Let's include this by using icon arrow.svg. And let's use one of Shopify's new filters, asset inline content. And it's actually inline asset content. Now we don't get that error line. And we will copy the exact same thing here. And let's copy this area label as well. And let's say next slide. We are using area label here because we just have an icon. We don't have any text. So for screen readers, this label is useful. Let's refresh the page. And now we have these icons. The next icon is looking good. But for the previous one, we have to update this transform to also include a rotate of 180 degrees. Let's refresh. And to improve how this icon looks like, let's give this a height of 30 pixels and a width of 30 pixels. Let's refresh. And this is looking better. We can also give this a cursor pointer. Refresh. And this is what we have. And let's update mobile, because as you can see, this is not looking that good. So what we can do is go here in the documentation and let's see what we have for responsive. So we can specify settings that are specific to a breakpoint. These are mobile first, meaning that they are using the min with query. And therefore, what we are going to have to change is here. This is going to be a 1 because on mobile we always want to use just one slide. And then on desktop or starting on tablet, let's do responsive. And we will have a breakpoint of, let's say, 700 pixels. And we can here specify any other setting that we could specify here at the top. So let's do settings. And the only one that is changing is a slides to show, which will be having the value we are reading from the settings. So let's refresh this. Let's save first, and then let's refresh here. And we can see that we are having an issue. Let's see what that could be. Here, and we are trying to put this where it doesn't belong. It should be here. This doesn't need a comma. And now let's refresh. And here we have the arrows. Although as this is mobile, we can drag it. So we can actually hide the arrows altogether. Let's do just that. So let's do display none. And then media, min width, 700 pixels. Let's copy the selector over here. And let's paste it over here and then give this a display block. After this breakpoint, let's refresh once again. And we can swipe on mobile, but then on desktop, let's refresh. And we are having an issue. Let's see what that could be. We have response, and it should be responsive. Let's refresh. We have 3 items on desktop. And let's go back to mobile. And on mobile, we still have just 1, and we can swipe. And one improvement we can make to this implementation here is firing an event on these nodes. So we can do document.dispatch event. And let's do a new event. Glider loaded. Let's copy this event name. And then over here, we will listen to this. So let's do document.add-event listener. And let's place all of this in a function. Let's call it init carousel. And let's paste this here. And then we will call init carousel. We have this in a function because there are 2 options. Either glider has loaded. We can check that. I check it from the window.glider object. If it has loaded, then let's just init the carousel right away. Else, we are going to add this event listener and wait for it to finish loading. Let's go to this page over here. Let's refresh. And we can see that this is still working. So there you have it. This is how you add a carousel to a Shopify theme. Carousels can have many more features, and each library will have a slightly different way of working with them, but the fundamental idea is roughly the same one we saw here. If you found this video helpful, remember to like and subscribe for more Shopify-related content, and I will see you all in the next one.